This is exciting. We've been promising our senior resource economist, Katrina, to come on the CodCast for some while now since we started, and I think this is episode 8 or 9. So you've been around Coda, well, you've been working for Coda for around...
almost 6 years now.
Long time.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Yeah, it feels almost like yesterday and then much longer at the same time. And tell us a bit about what your role here is and also why you're on the IR-focused CodCast.
Yeah, so my role here is I'm the senior resource economist, but I don't just do all the financial modeling, the corporate finance. I'm also heavily involved in the IR, marketing, social media, cost control. You know, it's a very involved role at the company, so...
Yeah, and again, for people who don't know us so well, I mean, we're a team effectively of 5 full-time people, 2 1 day a week, people who work on the account side. So it's a very small team and we kind of do everything. I buy the milk on a Monday morning. And
really do everything.
You know, your primary role is on financial modelling, cost control, analysis of the projects, project management.
The industry analysis, you know, commodity analysis or forecasting, everything like that.
Yeah, and what qualifies you? What's your original degree in?
So my original degree is economics with finance. I graduated 7 years ago now from the University of Edinburgh. So, you know, never thought, 7 years ago when I graduated with that degree, I'd be, doing stuff like IR, marketing and social media. So...
I don't think any of us really thought we'd be doing a whole lot of IR marketing and social media. I mean, there's no doubt this, the CEO role of these exploration companies involves a lot of promotion and making sure that people understand.
Incredibly multifaceted, being in a small exploration company. So it's interesting. I have to say, it's never boring. It's always different year to year. So I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, exploration results, feasibility results, you hit different things, you fire different things up, you get ideas. One of our main focuses is on the metallurgical recovery work at the moment. I think we released in early July. That was the result of a very clever metallurgist thinking, that's strange. I mean, we were trying sulfidization at the time and that was a complete failure and tried something else and, well, it worked. So suddenly you drop everything, your focus is back on it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which is great. Now, this is the IR-focused CodCast.
Yes.
And you weren't hired to do IR?
No, not at all. I would say I'm more comfortable behind the screen than I am, in front of people. But, if something I've learned being in working in a public listed company, how important communication is with our shareholders, with our stakeholders, investors, brokers, everything. It's very crucial, actually. Yeah, to the livelihood of the company. So.
Oh, without a doubt. And I mean, one of the things I never lost on us, I think, is there's 750 companies covered by Rob Murdoch's Oztex newsletter. Again, Kudzai and I talked about this earlier, but the Oztex newsletter is effectively the Bible of what's going on in the industry to us. You get it every morning. And I think there's something like 1,003 that are listed in mining and metals by market index. So how do you rise above that?
How do you stand out,
So more than any human being on the planet, you understand the financials of the company.
Yes,
right?
I do.
You understand the projects, what's strong about it, how the financial models work, how all the physicals interact with everything, OPEX, CAPEX.
Discount rates, commodity prices, how everything affects the project. So.
And do you get the impression when you're talking to people that they really understand the financial aspects of the project and how it compares to other projects?
No. To put it simply, no. It's very... I'd say it's very hard to compare projects, especially across the different stages, but across the different commodity types as well.
Yeah.
So it's incredibly hard to pit a copper project against a gold project, against a rare earth project, So I'd say people are always, wondering when are you going to get a production, how fast are you going to get a production, because that's what they see. They don't, actually see how the effort it takes to get there and the considerations that has to happen.
Huge amount of work.
Oh, a lot of work over a very long time period as well. I think the average the average time for, between discovery and production is 13 years. And, people are always wondering when you're going to get there. So I think it's been really hard to communicate that it is a journey and things are happening, new discoveries are happening, like you mentioned, metallurgy, you just need one person to know, how the flotations or the recovery works, to get that up. And then we have a materially different project. Or even the mining method. We've gone through a few different mining methods over the last 4 years, and we just needed that one person to come in to really understand hard rock mining, to deliver us two very, very viable options. And that actually came about from a conference we did 2 years ago. That's the importance of IR as well, not just communicating with our shareholders and getting our name out there, but also, creating connections with individuals within the industry that can help us get there as well.
Yeah.
So
I think there are some very, very good promoters with very bad projects doing quite well.
Yeah.
And there are some very, very good projects with bad promoters also struggling a bit. So we try and, I guess our DNA when we talked about this is to be the most transparent company out there within the listing rules, of course, and ASIC rules, but to be as transparent as we can to try and bring shareholders along on the journey. And that's why we're sitting here on this sofa. Yeah. Let's talk about IR a little bit more then. So again, we talked about, the passion for the project, the excitement for the project.
Yeah.
We talked about people putting studies out. Not all are created equal.
No.
Some of the assumptions we're seeing going into these things are interesting, to say the least.
Yep.
And then getting out there. So again, this episode came about, I think, because I was on the Gold Coast and I came back to CodCast and I said, yet another conference. Why are we doing this? What's the return on investment? Had a couple of messages while I was over there saying, what are you doing? Why are you over there as well? I love the idea it's a holiday, I think.
I would not say a trip to the Gold Coast is a holiday, but
it's certainly not when you're doing a conference. It's a long way from Perth, and you don't see a lot of the Gold Coast while you're there.
Yeah.
You're lucky if you see a sea view on the journey down to the conference hotel. You do most of the conferences with us. You spend a lot of time on the booth. What are your impressions from these conferences? Are they worth it? How do you feel about them?
I think different conferences have their merit. The one in Sydney, RIU Explorers, is an excellent one because you're meeting with financiers as well, not just the retail crowd.
Yeah.
And then if you go to the Gold Coast conference, you meet with the retail shareholders. So I think each one has its own merits. You want like a diversified shareholders.
Yeah. So,
it's important. It's important to get your face out there. It's important to actually meet with people, to feel real. Yeah. So I do agree with that.
Yeah, and we've had, it's not just shareholders. You talked about Mining Plus earlier.
Yeah.
I don't think we'd have met them had it not been for a conference.
Yeah, exactly. I think, if I remember very clearly, it was Osenko and Mining Plus that came up to the booth, and it just so happens that the mining engineers they had with them that day was from South Africa, who understood hard rock underground mining. Looked at the resource model we had back on the booth and was so interested. It's a very unique deposit to Australia. Yeah. So just having that recognition. Yeah. We just ended up having such a great relationship with them since then. So
yeah, it's that human element.
Yeah.
We tend to be predominantly office space. I think we'll work from home about once every 2 to 4 weeks, I think. But it's that, even with a small team, the ability to have that face-to-face, get around a whiteboard, meet people at conferences. One of the things Kudzai and I talked about was just in the modern world where you've got the internet, it does seem a bit odd to be sitting there, especially a conference like RIU Gold Coast or Resource Rising Stars Gold Coast, where it's very, very retail focused and you meet some absolutely lovely people. I've had the stories you get, right?
Yeah.
Talking to really great people. And some of the people on the booths, they sit there on their phone with the body language shut down. I think we try and make the booth very inviting, make it somewhere people want to see.
Yeah.
So conferences are one way to get things out there. You also run most of our Like we sat down and did a deal, didn't we? I said, I'll run the video content, I'll do all the editing.
Yeah, and I'll do all the social media stuff.
So you do if you're seeing a static image, if you're seeing social media, that's you.
That's me, yeah. So we just try to, I think we have the traditional format of announcements on the ASX, but I think it's always interesting, people digest information in different ways just to have a follow-up post on social media that's a bit more design heavy or animated, to try to get that information out there to a different cohort of individuals, I think helps. Yeah, so
I like your audiograms. I mean, the context, if you've seen one of our audiograms on social media, they are a static image.
Yes.
With a waveform, so the sound represented, and then with the words underneath.
Yes, yeah.
And this came about because years ago we were approached by a company that charges a astonishing $36,000 a year, and their primary thing is that they take your content, and you had to record it yourself. So you record it into your phone, you send it to them, they turn it into an audiogram.
An audiogram, yeah.
And then they pop it out on their Twitter.
Yeah.
And I think we said, oh, come on, how hard can this be?
Yeah. I think from the time you send me the MP4 file of the CodCast, I can get it dissected into a 32-minute audiogram and up on our socials within an hour.
32 seconds.
Yeah, 32 seconds to a minute, sorry.
Oh, sorry, 30 seconds to a minute.
Yeah, sorry, 30 seconds to a minute audiogram and get it up to our socials within the hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great way. And again, people digest. You can read it. You can listen to it.
Yeah, if you don't have, 10 to 12 minutes to watch the full video, then, I try to do it so it gives you the most relevant information in the least amount of time.
Yeah, and again, these short form things can be a bit dangerous, can't they? I mean, Katrina and I spoke a lot about Table 1 and just how important it is and how much companies have to disclose in that. I mean, I'm actually quite a fan of that. Poor Matt doesn't like writing them.
No.
But, at the end of the day, I think that's quite important. Getting back to the other social media, what else do you do with social media? What do you find interesting? What works? What doesn't?
I think, like I previously said, it is, if we are able to diffuse the information in a multitude of different ways, I think that generates more interest in the original content. So directing everyone back to the original announcement so they can read the full thing, or they can watch, your full video of the CodCast on the announcements. And we have seen our subscriber base grow because of our increased, participation in social media and in, different formats of diffusing information, such as the CodCast. So
I'm astonished that the CodCast gets as many views as it does. And, someone was trying to, again, promote one of these sort of $3,000 a month video things where, they'll do a video of every announcement and pop it out on their socials. And I looked up their YouTube page and it was getting half the views of our CodCast.
Not even, I'd say.
Yeah, some of them are in the single digits. Yeah. And, between YouTube and Spotify and Apple, we're getting a few hundred per episode, which is incredible. We've talked about subscribers going up. We've talked about more engagement. We've talked about creating content. And in fact, we are sitting here right now on a Wednesday afternoon and creating content. Why bother? Why are we doing this, in your opinion? Like
I said, the communication's key. It doesn't matter if, we think this is a great project. If we can't communicate to the public that this is a great project and we can't demonstrate all the work that we're doing, so why bother doing all this work if we can't convey that this is increasing shareholder value to the, I think that's why we're doing what we do. I run all the financial models. I, look at all the projects that are out there and it's a great project, It is an excellent project and we're making significant improvements to it as well. As the months go by, we started the scoping study process at 570. We've managed to increase the MPV by 45% over a year, just over a year. So it is a phenomenal project and it keeps getting better.
Yeah.
You know, so that's why we're here. That's why, you know, I'm on the CodCast. You know, it's a great project, and we want to show that.
Yeah. And I mean, one of the questions I always ask myself, and I don't think there's ever going to be a good answer to this, is did we get that first study out too early, too quickly?
In hindsight, yes, but we didn't have all the information that we do now. You know, we didn't understand mechanical cutting as we do now. We didn't understand the pillar recovery strategy that we had.
Yeah.
And, you know, potential, you know, improvements to the recoveries as well. That was, you know, not even an idea over a year ago. So
yeah, as you know, I'm a fan of saying, but time is linear, unfortunately, and sometimes you just got to do the work.
Yeah. And we are improving. Yeah. You know, we are moving forwards. We're not staying stagnant at all.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so now we've got you on here. I still have to edit it and get your approval to release. But now I've got you on here in front of the two cameras and the very bright lights. We'll get you. Are you happy to come back on for copper?
We'll see how this is received.
I'm hoping to get your predecessor.
Oh, yes.
We won't name him just yet because he's got to get approval from his current employer. But we're hoping to get someone who is actually a renowned, very well-known expert in the battery mineral space to come in, and maybe the three of us, or have another conversation as well. Yeah. So it'll be an exciting episode.
Me and him can duke it out.
You can duke it out. I think we might need a few beers or cocktails on the table for that one. But thanks for coming on.
Yeah, no problem.